I see that we have our speaker here. I know we're just getting the...
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
Really good day. Really pleasant to see you. Sunny day again.
Oh, good.
Sunny.
Sort of a bit cloudy here, but we're doing all right.
Yep. Sorry for being a little bit late. Had like
No?
difficulties with my starting the session thing.
Well, best things come to those who wait. So looking forward to this. And since it seems like you're all ready, then I'm going to leave you to it. And I'll be back at the end for question and answers. Before you start, though, the last thing I wanted to say to all the people in the audience is make sure you throw your questions into the Q&A because we'll be coming back afterwards to go through them. Anyway, over to you.
Yeah, I'll do my best to leave some time for Q&A, though, because, I mean, I've been spending quite a lot of time preparing for the session for the last couple of weeks, and yeah, I prepped a lot, and I spent like another hour yesterday actually picking slides to show and filtering out some which are not that important.
Well, that's I mean, that's fantastic anyway. Like I said, we've got the Discord channel as well, so we'll see how we get on. Cool.
So yeah, let me start. When I thought what to talk about during the session, I was like, yeah, like how can I predict? I mean, this year is already pretty rough. We've seen so many unpredicted things happen, and yeah, I hope second half of the year will be like more or less positive. So yeah, instead of like using my magic ball, I went to like Unity Insights and different third-party analytics and other tools, and picked a few data points I decided to highlight for you. And then I'll basically try to not to say you like what's going to happen. I have no answer. No one has. But yeah, let's discuss. Let's try to predict what will be next second half of the year in terms of like new games, new releases, gamers, ads, ad spenders, etc., etc. So yeah, let's start with a couple of slides about what happened actually, starting from coronavirus. Based on Statista stats, in March, device usage increased by like 10 to 70%. As you can see, mobile phones were like the most favorable devices for people, and there's like little numbers for Germany and the United States could be explained just because March was kind of early for them to get a hit of coronavirus, while like Spain, Italy, and China were already covered. As you can see, also like laptop, PC, and other type of devices took their popularity a lot. And then as a little comment, basically COVID helped a lot of VR headset sales. To be fair, like after the first week of lockdown, I was like, yeah, why haven't I bought myself like a new Oculus VR headset? And then yeah, everything was sold out. So I haven't found any proof, any big stats, but it looks like amount of VR headsets available at people's homes kind of doubled during COVID. What happened next? So the amount of downloads everywhere just went through the roof, literally to the sky. And then it peaked at 1.2 billion weekly downloads. It's just games, it's not apps, it's not everything. 1.2 billion new downloads weekly. It's insane. It's like plus 40, 45, 50% based on region growth, even comparing to January, not even last year. And then I started to dig into and analyze, is it like even everywhere, all type of games became popular? And I found some stats in our internal tools that like commuter apps, like, this shorter games, casual games with easier gameplay, like hyper casual, like puzzles, like trivia, the DAU increased just by 4%, which is relatively drop, while mid-core and hardcore, like HD games and console games, they grew up by a nice 30-40%. Then I found another cool source, which is Upslayer report about COVID impact. And then, as you can see, hyper casual started to slowly decline, and that's explainable. I mean, people had more time to play, and then now these games started to recover slowly, because in some countries restrictions are a little bit up, so people started to commute again. They have more, there's occasional little sessions like in a park when they walk, when they go back to work, when they can play, this games which are especially popular because of the short sessions. Casual segment, it's like basically plateau since mid-April, and then revenue-wise, it's also like recovered comparing to where it was last year. And hardcore, it was a massive spike all over April, not because any huge release, it's just like much more new players became hardcore players. Some games have got their new fans because of streaming and Twitch and popularity of streaming services. So yeah, revenue and time spent and the amount of sessions, everything increased. So what my predictions, number one, for H2. First of all, kids' holidays are already here, so they are not canceled. Kids will go back to school in September. So all of Q3, we will still see increased use of all the games. I won't argue about like whether people will go to travel, will be able to travel, depends on the country, depends on rules. But yeah, holidays are here. Summer is summer. Then second part, commute, again, depends based country by country and company by company. But yeah, slowly commute apps will get back to charts. Then people will have slightly less time to play hardcore games. Though these games, like hardcore games, they've got new fans and people who've got new like addiction, new habit to play more core games which require like longer sessions, etc. And then during COVID times there are quite a lot of new users became gamers. So some of them will stick to casual, some of them will get back to short session games like hyper casual, and some of them will actually stick to hardcore. So yeah, segment is growing. Great opportunity for all of you to enter whatever type of game you're building for. So second thing, I started to go even deeper and started to look at like what kind of categories grew up mostly. In terms of time spent in action, which is mostly shooters, are leading the chart. Second place are board sports and arcade. Simulation games became very popular. When it comes to downloads, casual games, which is primarily driven by a match 3 game and this not directly trivia games, but this puzzle games, then simulation and adventure are in top charts. And another huge surprise, and it's not actually a surprise, you probably remember yourself at the start of the whole lockdown, that board games became super popular. And top charts, top hits are word games with a strong social element. So when you can challenge your friends, your family, when you can connect, when you can compete, when you can play together, when you can play remotely. So these games really boomed, and like another 1000% heads up back to charts. So people started to play with people they live with. People started to try to play remotely, house party, all these things helped people to actually play somehow. So my prediction number 2 for H2, multiplayer games will continue to grow. If you will, again, look at yourself, at least myself, I started to call my friends and parents. I reconnected with some people I had no time to talk to, I don't know, last year. and yeah, we started to play some games. We started to play social games. We started together in Zoom or House Party on other apps. And second prediction, like casual era is back. So again, because people they tasted quite a lot of new experiences, it will be still a spike in H2 of these board games. People will play digitally and not necessarily on real paper games. Even personally, people will play board games. People will compete. People will challenge each other. Third thing is, so a couple days ago, I found a really cool, fresh report made by Apani and IDC, and one of the parts were about US gamer attitude towards different types of ad formats. So pretty much how hardcore gamers, it's the biggest question of the last few years, how midcore and hardcore gamers think about ads. And then, as you can see, for the last year, attitude of hardcore gamers, which is column, like right side column, improved massively. So in total, I like them and they are okay, is more than half of the audience. It's like 60%. When historically, like a couple of years ago, the stats was like 75% were big haters. And what was observed as a result, especially recently when payment in games per player decreased slightly, is that more and more hardcore companies reaching out saying, yeah, we're open to use ads. So one of the predictions as a result, like Fallout Shelter by Bethesda, they went live as Unity ads exclusive just at the start of this week. So yeah, one of the predictions we see is that quite a lot of non-gaming companies started to reach out and work more actively with rewarded user format, as well as more mid-core and hardcore games, strategy games, games you would never think they will use ads ever, got back to us, replied our emails. We sent them like a time ago to implement ads, because for user, not having ads in the game is almost a penalty. They already find, they know how it works, they know the caveat. Another finding, so I tried to find more precise statistic about that, but like that thing came up when I had a chat with one of gaming studio CEO preparing for my presentation. So he told me that, like, look, so many games, different types of games are postponed during this unpredicted times of first half of the year, and that's like only a list of 50 games in Wiki article mentioned that they moved, postponed to particular date in H2, or without saying exact date of update release, and that's only PC and console. Another piece of content I found at Pocket Gamer Biz, again, like a few days ago, is that 53 top games in soft launch. I don't know what was the rule to pick, like to call them top games. Probably it's just big titles, big IPs, because that's like Rovio, that's Supercell, that's Ubisoft, that's Activision Blizzard. So quite a lot of big games are in soft launch. Like really unprecedented amount of games are in soft launch. So my next prediction would be basically second half of the year will be hot. So obviously we can't even see how many games were scheduled initially to be released in H2. And also some games are postponed. So yeah, second half of the year will be really hot in terms of bids, in terms of good money for publishers, but competition for players will be also insane. And then I have just little time and want to cover one more question. So one more questions which is interested for people who buy users from networks, from Facebook, from Google, who monetize with networks. is what's going to happen with ad spend. So when it comes to games, it's a performance story. So obviously some games will face with like smaller LTV because of recession here and there, because players change their behaviors, because players will have less time to play because some of them will get back to work. But yeah, smaller LTV, still performance based. A lot of ROAS products on the market, including Unity ROAS product. So everything will be driven by performance. I don't expect a huge change, as we discussed on the slide before. Any little change in CPI will be compensated by big spike in demand, big spike in competition. Non-gaming apps, for them it will be kind of harsh time. So these charts are about how many downloads happened to taxi apps in the UK back in March. So for areas like travel, like taxi, like dating, all of them will need restart their UA campaigns. So this market is reset. For example, I haven't used Uber for 3 months. So and okay, I used to be active user of Uber, but yeah, now I'll need to be attracted by some of them again. It doesn't mean I deinstall the app, but yeah, retargeting campaigns will help. And then a lot of brands, they will slowly ramp up, but definitely they won't get back really soon. So yeah, we should rely on ourselves and our competition, and then non-gaming will help to add some money to market. So and yeah, I'm out of time. Probably I've been messaged about like shut up and stop it. The biggest prediction I have is like people will continue to play games. People tasted games, new players appeared on the market, people love games. We should all build games. And yeah, the second half of the year, difficult to predict, though it will be successful for all of us. If you have any questions, I'm happy to move to Discord or wherever I need to move to have a chat with you.
Hi, thank you. No, we've actually got a little bit of time for a couple of questions if you're interested in taking some of the questions from the audience.
Yep.
Yeah, so some of the questions, the first question we had come in was, has CPI increased or decreased? There has been mixed articles about it.
Like, first of all, I would recommend to join a session of my colleague Emery in Irpan today. He will cover COVID-19 doc he and his team has been working on. In general, we have seen that CPI went down. I mean, at the start of the whole thing, CPI was flat. So in March, no change. But then most of big developers, big publishers, big advertisers, they realized that LTV started to change. So basically people play more, they consume more content, but they don't have as much money. I mean, if I watch and experience, if I have twice more time to experience different things, it doesn't mean my content spent doubled, right?
Yeah.
Because my salary is not doubled. Fortunately, I didn't lose my job, but yeah, in general, amount of money I spent for content didn't increase. So yeah, most LTV curves changed, and CPIs went down, as well as brand advertisers stopped to spend. Amount of auctions available to buy and participate increased in April and May. So yeah, prediction for H2, it will be at least flat, but CPIs will most probably go up because yeah, as I mentioned, like 50, 60, 70 huge games in soft launch and unlimited amount of like postponed and games which should be released will be released. So competition will be high.
Okay. The next question is from an attendee who obviously has a word game, but without multiplayer, who says, why do you think word games have become so popular? What about word games without multiplayer like theirs?
I'm not saying word games without multiplayer are bad. They just grew up not as much. So, these games with like social element, when you can challenge someone, invite someone, connect with someone, compete with someone, they became, this platform for people to communicate. So like evolution of house party when you can play with someone remotely without like see the face or chatting, because I mean, you know, it's fatigue of being in Zoom with your parents and with your friends all the time. But why word games became so popular? Because they are easy to start with.
Yeah.
I mean, they have no obligations. It's like, you know, yesterday, I don't know, your dad or granddad used to make this, you know, crosswords in a newspaper, in a local newspaper. And now after playing with you, I know, words with friends, he started to, you know, tap his phone you gifted him last New Year, and he started to play the games. So that's probably the easiest area to enter for new players.
Yeah.
So could be the reason.
Yeah, and I think we've got a little bit of time with another one. So what has been the impact on eCPM, ARPU, etc. of ad monetization? Any predictions about that?
So because of amount of ads during COVID increased, because such longer people consume more games and more ads a day, CPMs went down and competition decreased. So brands pulled out budgets, non-gaming, some of them in terrible shape. I mean, you know, this well-being and business, they grew up, education grew up organically mostly. Like travel, taxi, a lot of other apps went down. So prediction for H2, all these businesses will try to recover as quick as, you know, lockdown will be lifted. So definitely all these taxi apps, Uber or Lyft, whatever you have in your region, will compete for users, will compete for you as a new user pretty much, because you haven't been using taxi app for like 3-4 months. Same to dating, same to, you know, all this real life services which were not available for people, as well as, yeah, new games. So because competition will be higher, CPMs will be up.
Yeah.
Despite the amount of inventory you can sell, amount of impressions you can sell, will go down because people will have less time. They will choose somewhere in real life on park, or like, I don't know, dacha or some vacation, and then in Q4 they will be busy doing the careers and or monies. Definitely CPMs will be up.
Yeah, and I think if we can squeeze it in, we'll have one last question and then we'll have to let everyone sort of head off to the Discord, because obviously it's been a very popular talk. But I think a really interesting question from Carla, which I'm just going to pick out of the selection, is what about demographics? Are we seeing any patterns here in 2020 and moving into H2?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Not really prepped. I've seen a few reports about demographics, didn't enter slides because, you know, demographics is the most challenging one. I would say that my general observation of demographics is like summer and, you know, this Christmas period are definitely huge spike in kids and teenagers playing games. Despite all of them playing games every day anyway, it's like a huge spike of consumption. I've seen that, you know, all the, not necessarily like elderly people, but all the people joined gaming. But during COVID times, it was like really across the board. So all categories, no really big highlights. It was more or less flat spike age-wise. Location-wise, yeah, some countries which were hit harder by COVID-19, I mean, and where lockdown was more strict, they started, obviously they consume more. Some countries where things were more relaxed and eased quicker, obviously, I mean, it was a little spike, but then started to release quicker. So yeah, I would recommend to go to Upside report, definitely find Penny and IDC report. Join Emre's session tonight, not literally tonight, like 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. Check the schedule. And yeah, he will also cover some things, some findings.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And, you know, I know lots of people have some other questions, so I'll let everyone take the conversation off to the Discord if they want to.
Yeah, and also feel free to find me like in LinkedIn, Facebook, or slava@unit3.com. just message me. I'm happy to have a chat about that. Yeah, I know it's been a hot topic. Thanks for coming over. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have like another hour to talk to you.
No,
yeah,
but thank you so much.
cheers.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.